One topic we weren't able to get to today, Chris, because we just had so many other things to discuss. The suggestion that Jadeveon Clowney's demands may be softening by a few $1 million per year. Look, Jadeveon Clowney, I don't think it's about the money. I think it's about the fact that people can't give the guy a proper physical. As long as he wants anything more than the veteran minimum, they're going to demand on having the ability to take a very close look at where he is physically before making a commitment to him. Otherwise, you're potentially throwing away money.
No doubt about it. And, also, I do think it's about money a little bit. That ties into, this is a guy that's been beat up a lot. He plays a really physical brand of football as is. So you got to question, can his body hang in there for 2-3 years in a row to where he can really contribute to our football team? I think those are all the big questions, let alone to what, yes, you're saying, without being able to do the medical evaluation is scary for this type of athlete, especially coming off surgery. So I don't know if he's dropping his price or whatever it may be, but you and I both know he's one of the kings of F the play up. And there's some teams who seriously have a need for his position and have money too, just to name a few. The Jets, the Houston Texans. Would the Houston Texans get involved in Jadeveon Clowney again if it were for the right price?
Something.
I mean, right?
That would be something if he'd end up back in Houston.
I mean, they have the money to do it, and they have a big-time need at the position. But there is a lot of teams, even the Philadelphia Eagles, who I look right now, they got enough money to figure out and wiggle around to sign a Jadeveon Clowney. They have the need. So I got to think there's a market out there. I'm guessing between what you said and maybe his asking price was just a little too steep for some teams to swallow.
It would take a lot of humble pie being consumed by both Clowney and Bill O'Brien, the coach and GM of the Texans, for him to go back there. That's a tough fence to mend because of the way that everything ended, the quick trade last year, the refusal to sign him to a long-term deal. They never signed him to a long-term deal. They squatted on him for his entire rookie contract and then traded him as a franchise tag player, and he had to go to Seattle and play there last year. Although, hey, maybe he should be happy with the Texans. They ended up paying a big chunk of his salary, even though he was playing for a different team. That topic was inspired by a question from Josh in Tacoma, who wants to know, what's Jadeveon Clowney's real market? Who does he end up with? Give me a guess of who he signs with and how much he gets.
I'm going to guess it's I'm going to say the New York Jets come in to sweep him up at some point. I would think Greg Williams would love to get his hands on Jadeveon Clowney. And I think the Jets fans are a little underwhelmed by the lack of big names so far in free agency. I think he would be a guy that would certainly fit the football needs and, put the fan base at ease. And, I think ultimately, I don't know what kind of contract he's going to get. I don't think it's going to be anything like 5 or 6 years or, huge guaranteed money. I would think it's a 2 or 3 year deal where a team can get out of it, after 1 or 2 years, just in case another serious injury arises. So, something around there for an average of, I don't know, Mike, what do you think? $16, $17 million a year, I think would probably be about where he gets.
And I think the Seahawks are just waiting for the number to fall to a range that they think is acceptable, the risk, the reward. And we've seen the reward. They would not have beaten the 49ers on that Monday night last season if they didn't have Jadeveon Clowney. He delivered that victory. And I know that there were a lot of other hands in the pot, but without him, I don't think they win that game. He sparked them at a time when it felt like the 49ers were starting to maybe pull away from the Seahawks. The 49ers were the better team, but the Seahawks found a way to win the game that night, and Clowney had a lot to do with it.
It's tough, just because you look at some of the guys, like where Clowney is going to look at it and go, okay, guys like Dee Ford. Jadeveon Clowney's a better all-around football player than Dee Ford, and he's making $17 million a year. So I understand where he's going to look at that. Olivier Vernon, for what he's done for the Cleveland Browns the last few years. It's not Jadeveon Clowney class. So that's where the problem is. So maybe I'm selling him a little low here. Maybe he gets a big chunk of guaranteed money and gets a lot of big numbers early on in his career. Maybe somebody does sign him to a 4 or 5 year deal to lessen the cap blow, throws a lot of guaranteed money at him, and then it's a deal that they can get out of after 2 years if possible, something like that. Actually, the more I talk about this and think about this, I think that's probably the way it'll go.
Yeah, I just think that the Seahawks are biding their time, and they're waiting and they're waiting
you.
and they're waiting, and the fact that there's no other market out there eventually gets him to dip to a point where they say we have to have this guy, we have to take this risk and take this guy back onto our team because he's just too good when he's healthy.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.